Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of TV is Our Real Mom. I'm Dave,
I'm Catie.
and you are listening to our weekly Fargo podcast in which we share our thoughts on the latest episode of Fargo. And, tomorrow night is episode 309, but almost
We're
a
a
week
little...
ago, we had episode 308, and here we are to talk about it. Finally, we're a little late on it, but hey, at least we're doing it. We can be happy about that, I guess.
I've been sitting on this one because we watched this one together.
Yeah, we
And
did.
then schedules got a little crazy and we couldn't quite figure out when we were going to do it. But I really am still excited to talk about this episode because it was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, it was. What do you think? Best episode of the season, or?
I think for sure best episode of the season.
Yeah, I mean that's what my gut says. There are some good episodes that I don't know. Maybe they're overlooked because they're not as action packed as this one, but there's just a lot going on in this episode. A lot of interesting stuff. A lot of good action. So I think knee jerk reaction is yes. This is the best episode of the season, hands down.
I mean, there have been other episodes. I honestly think the last 4 have just been rock solid. And anyone who says otherwise is a nitpicking jackass and they can suck it. So
Well said. All right. So where to begin in such a jam-packed episode, Catie? I feel like you have some ideas.
Boy, well, I guess you can begin at the beginning, which to me was a very long beginning and was one of the most suspenseful scenes in Fargo history. I remember thinking in the first half of the season that they haven't had the suspense, like the dread you feel, like thinking back to season 1. But this episode had it in spades, especially at the beginning.
Yes, the opening scene feels very much like Fargo, especially like the Coen brothers action stuff,
Yeah, and
finally getting some of that.
definitely. And it was cool to see that Mr. Wrench still kicks quite a bit of ass, and that he and Nikki got to be together, and it wasn't just an Easter egg one-off thing.
Yeah, it was cool to see them as a team, and I can't remember, like, where did we leave off in this episode with these two? Like, what was the end result? Are they still together? I can't remember.
Well, that's a subject of some debate, and perhaps we should discuss it. Because they are running through the woods together, still chained together. They're running from Yuri Earbuds, whose name is apparently Mimo, which I don't think anyone's ever said, but fine. And then DJ Qualls, who apparently in the script, his name, he was listed as Golem. Do you know what a golem is, David?
Well, I know Gollum is the what's his name? Smeagol. Gollum is Smeagol, like a hobbit turned into a greedy little creature that lusts after the ring in J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. But
that's correct. That's what a golem is.
So a golem is like a stone giant in Norse mythology or something.
It's actually Jewish.
Okay.
Not mythology. I don't know. Jewish lore.
Judaism.
A golem is a creature made of clay or mud that does the bidding of its master, does whatever it tells it to do.
Yeah, I feel like that must be it must transcend cultures then, because I think it does. It is like also a stone, like you're saying, a clay creature, which is similar to like a stone giant in other. I'm thinking like Norse mythology or something like that.
Right, but a golem is traditionally Jewish, and that has a lot to do with the scene in the bowling alley.
Okay, can you fill us in on these crazy fan theories?
Well, not all of them are fan theories. It's just
what it is.
It is what it is. But about the golem thing, I was gonna say that it was a character that just kind of seemed conjured out of nowhere to do violence, and then it was killed violently, which we enjoyed in the room when we were watching.
Yeah, we watched this episode with our family, like our immediate family,
Mm-hmm.
minus Cassie,
Yeah.
our older sister, who we definitely need to get on the podcast. We keep saying that, but we gotta
Well, we're
actually.
not going to get her on the Fargo podcast because she hasn't even seen episode 2. So
Oh yeah, she's a little behind,
she's pretty
but
behind.
yeah, minus her, we watched it with our immediate family, and quite the reaction in the room. I'm sure it was the same everywhere. Anybody
My
watching
reactions
this.
to this season have been loud and strong, at least these last few episodes.
I'm sure this was a universal response moment
Yeah.
with DJ Qual's head getting
Chained off, Jabba the
chained
Hutted
off.
off.
Yeah. It's Jabba the Hutt was too fat for them to be able to pull the chain all the way through,
Right.
but DJ Qualls has a relatively thin and delicate neck, so I could see
Sliced like butter.
Yeah, right on through that thing. Yeah, it was nasty, but also very impactful.
Yeah, and they also were able to, or Mr. Wrench was able to launch that axe and cut off Yuri's ear, which was pretty tight also.
Right. And that sort of spawned, that sort of like started the question of like randomness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are the odds that he would hit that guy? I mean, in the room when we were watching it, that's what sort of sparked that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird because it ended up being a theme throughout the rest of the episode is like, what are the odds that we kept saying that like throughout the episode? What are the odds that would happen? Is that fate or is it random? And it sort of like begs the question, like, what's the difference? Like, does it matter if it's random or if it's fate? It's just what happens, you know?
It's all based on your perception.
Right. So anyways, yeah, he lost his ear.
He lost his ear, and Nikki and Wrench eventually find their way to the bowling alley, which should be pretty familiar. Even me, who doesn't watch a lot of Coen Brothers movies, this looked familiar to me.
Yes, this is the Big Lebowski scene, basically.
Yeah.
And that's featured throughout the movie, right? There's a couple different parts where Sam Elliott is sitting at the bar in that bowling alley telling, I think he's just telling stories to the guy that works there. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Well, and he talks to the dude. He gives the dude some pretty sage advice.
Oh, the dude is actually there.
Yeah, the dude talks to the stranger quite a bit. Right. Not really realizing, is he a real person? Is he there? And that's kind of maybe what we should discuss with this whole bowling alley thing, because the minute Nikki sits down next to him and she says she's in a bowling alley and he says, oh, is that what you see? So it's like, well, okay, well, what's happening here?
Yeah. And I thought it's extremely fitting that they cast this guy, the guy from the airplane. Do we have a name for that character?
Yes. And that leads into a whole other thing.
Okay. Well, before we get there, I mean, the casting of this guy, I mean, it immediately makes you recall Twin Peaks, and like this is such like Twin Peaks feeling.
Yes.
Yeah, Twin Peaks-esque stuff going on. So I just think that's so appropriate that's happening.
And that's the one hitch in everything that I feel, you know, you can say, okay, Nikki and Wrench are dead and this is some sort of purgatory, but then Gloria saw this guy twice when she was in LA. Like, what was that?
Right. I didn't spend too much more time thinking about it after that. Like normally in TV shows, this is the kind of stuff I pour over and analyze deeply. Like I was a big fan of Lost back in the day, and this is the kind of stuff I would analyze. But in this case, I don't know if I've just realized you can't figure this stuff out because it's so like mystical. I kind of stopped thinking about it 5 minutes after the episode was over. But I'm sure you've dove in. What's the right tense for that? Dove.
I'm sure you have diven. No, that's not it.
You dived in.
No, but
I'm sure you have. So why don't you tell us some of what you've uncovered in as far as what the people are saying? What does this mean? This crazy dojo bowling alley.
Well, the cool thing about it, first of all, is that you can take it at that level and still get enjoyment out of it, or you can take it to the level that I took it and just go deeper and deeper, which I didn't go as deep as I wanted to go because I forgot or just didn't have time or whatever.
Well, we didn't podcast soon enough. I'm sure you've forgotten a lot of what you've.
Maybe, but the character, it's all, you have to read the characters' names apparently. Like that's where the secret, if you want to continue to research this stuff, is where it lies. And apparently the character's name is Paul Moran, Marrane, which is a known name of this figure in, I don't know if it's Christian lore or Jewish lore, but anyway, he's known as the Wandering Jew. And he it's a silly name.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's actually really old. And this guy was punished for taunting Jesus while he was dying on the cross. And so he was punished to wander the earth until the second coming, just dispensing advice and, helping people. And when he was on the plane with Gloria, he said that was his 6th flight that day. So, and then here he is at the bowling alley, which may or may not be in this plane reality. I don't know. But he's clearly he has some type of spiritual mission. And all of the quotes that he quotes books of the Hebrew Bible when he says the eagle thing,
Let me see if I have it in my notes here. Go ahead. I'm not seeing it right away.
I don't remember the exact quote. Like, though thou shalt make thy nest.
Though thou exalt thyself like the eagle.
Right. And so on and so on.
And so on. Yeah. So yeah, are you saying that this guy travels the world constantly giving advice because he's in debt to Jesus?
I'm not saying that the guy on Fargo does that. I'm saying that's the inspiration for the character, but we've gotten a lot of Jewish stuff already in the season. Lore, and then we know that Varga is very anti-Jewish. We know that Sai is Jewish. We know the widow Goldfarb is Jewish. So there's a lot of that going on. So I don't think it's a coincidence that this guy is like the one dispensing the, what do you call it? The mission, the mission to go deliver justice to these wicked people, which could be perceived as Emmett or Varga or both of them, all of them. But anyway, he gives Nikki this mission that she needs to deliver justice to the wicked.
Right. Who will rise for me against the wicked?
Yeah.
That is the quote. So he is sort of like just a sort of figurehead to kind of sit atop this quest of but there's sort of these undertones of anti-Semitism and like Varga's a Nazi.
Yeah, well, he seems to be disgusted by Jewish people for some reason.
Interesting.
There's just a connection there, and I feel like there's going to be something that ties it together. And it's already sort of coming together, but I couldn't help but think of when I read about the wandering Jew who's cursed to wander the earth till the second coming. I could not help but think of the little robot, Minsky.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's here to help.
Yeah, and I feel like that's Gloria. Gloria is the robot. Like, she's there, she can help, but like she's all like, no one takes her seriously. Technology doesn't notice her. Her superiors don't listen to her. Like, she's just her husband. She's married, but she's not married. She's just like kind of rootless and purposeless. And I feel like that's why she's clinging on to this case. Like, she feels like she can help, but she still can't get anybody to
listen. Yeah, so maybe there's a theme of like the help is right here in front of our eyes, but nobody will acknowledge it and listen up. But maybe at the end of that story with the android, like they basically reward him, don't they?
They reward him by saying he can stop wandering and shut himself off.
But don't they? I mean, a reward is sort of it can be whatever, and they sort of, even something as simple as they acknowledge him. Don't they acknowledge the android? Like the superior race of the time acknowledges him, and they're like, good job. and you're done now.
Yeah.
And I mean,
That's right.
that's a good enough reward. I mean, isn't that all anybody seeks in a reward is acknowledgement
To
of
be acknowledged, and for
yeah,
Gloria to be acknowledged for the work she's done by anyone, by even technology. Like if the season ends and something works for her, like technology wise, then I guess she's accomplished something.
right. It should be interesting to see how like the character of Gloria ends, like and if it has any sort of parallels at the end of her journey to the end of the journey for the android. I think that'll be interesting to track, you know.
Yeah, and I feel like with her finally signing the divorce papers, perhaps she's headed in the right direction.
Oh yeah, was that at the end of the episode she
Yeah, it
finally
was.
signs those?
We do a time jump. We go from Christmas 2010 to March 2011, and then Gloria's still looking at her divorce papers. She hasn't even signed them yet, but then she changes her mind, goes back to sign them, and then that's when Emmett walks in. Coincidence?
Right. Yeah, almost like she finally closed the book on one, or you close a window and another one opens, or
Mm-hmm.
you know,
That old chestnut.
that old chestnut. So yeah, man, there's a lot going on.
Well, do you want to talk about Yuri also?
Oh yeah, so what happens? He goes into the bowling alley, chasing after Nikki and Mr. Wrench.
Mm-hmm.
And he sits down and talks to Paul.
Yeah.
And what exactly happens?
Well, he says that we all end up here eventually to be weighed and judged, or did he say that to Nikki? I don't know. Whoever. He said it at some point. But apparently it comes out that Helga, that Yuri murdered someone named Helga Albrecht, who happens to be the person who was murdered in the very first scene of the episode or of the season that the guy was wrongfully accused of.
But yeah, how does that timing work out? I could have sworn like the year that they put for that first scene was not in line with the timing of
Yeah, was
this.
it like 1987 or something weird like
yeah,
that? Because it was East Berlin, and East Berlin after 1989 did not exist.
So I mean, if we're in 2010 and this murder took place in 1987,
yep.
Like, how does that work? Is Yuri just old?
That's a good question. That was my thought exactly. But that's what all the recaps were saying, that this is the same person. And
so Yuri is maybe just like 49 years old and he committed this murder when he was like a teenager.
Maybe.
Yeah, I can live with that if that's what's going on.
He doesn't look that old. But perhaps he's immortal.
Yeah, could be.
Because Paul also talks about the Jews that he murdered, or his ancestors murdered. Somebody murdered hundreds of years ago.
Right. And that's that scene we get a visual, right, of a bunch of black and white Jewish people like
judging him, like
judging
he's facing, yeah.
Like and he's facing the people that he's had a hand in killing or something, or what exactly?
That's what I gathered. I mean, and then you don't see him again. The implication there is that, he was judged in this place and he wasn't allowed to leave, like Nikki and Wrench were allowed to leave in a Volkswagen, which is apparently a nod to Hitler. That's what Hitler drove. And that's why he says, irony at its finest.
Interesting. Yeah, I just don't understand like how they end up here. Like
well, maybe that's what we should debate. Is this a real place?
I can't debate you on that. I have no like.
I don't know where I fall on it either.
Yeah, I mean, all I can say is like I can pick one or the other and just go with it. I don't have any supporting evidence, so the debate is kind of meaningless. But I don't know. I guess I would go with it's definitely a supernatural element. Like, we've talked about how we thought the supernatural element of this season was Gloria and the technology. Kind of similar to the lights in season 2 and whatever you said about season 1. I already forgot, but
Fishnado?
The Fishnado. Yeah, the plagues or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, clearly the supernatural shit of this season runs much deeper than some UFO lights. Obviously this place is more substantially supernatural than it is just a place. I just don't get, like, so all three of these people, is it just Yuri's bad luck that he happens to follow them into this place? Because
that's a way of looking at it.
Like, so he's stuck here just because he happened to follow them in there? I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
I guess that's just like anything else. Sometimes you just have bad luck, you know?
Certainly on Fargo you do.
And was it fate or was it random? You know? It doesn't matter. That's what happened.
It is what happened.
Yeah.
Sorry, excuse me. Do you think when Nikki and Wrench walked out of there, are they dead? Are they still alive? Are they human bodies going back to the world? Or are they ghosts delivering justice?
Right. Yeah. If it's if this is a supernatural realm and they wander in their mortal forms, do they leave as like ghosts of justice, or are they actually themselves? I would say they are definitely still alive and they're definitely human. There's sort of it's like near-death experiences when you almost die and God tells you you're not done yet, you're not finished yet, and then you wake up or something. I would say it's something similar to that. It's like they could have gotten held there,
right,
like Yuri did, but instead they're sent back to rise against the wicked.
Yeah, like I'm fine with the theory that Nikki and Wrench are ghosts haunting Emmett, but there's two things that are strikes against it to me. One is the fact that Paul is a real person that we've seen talking to Gloria before. And two is the fact that she had to leave Ray the cat there. Ray the cat is dead. He had to stay behind. And she couldn't take him with. Ray the kitten.
Ray the cat isn't dead though.
No, but Ray
is dead and he's taken the form of a cat because Paul explicitly says so much as he's been reincarnated as a cat, basically, or he's taken this form or something along those lines. Nice. I forgot about that. That's a good thing.
I was watching that scene while holding our parents' baby cat. So it was like I was holding a baby cat and watching a baby cat, and it was one of the cutest experiences I've had.
Just too much cuteness overload.
Pretty cute. And that the fact that she said that when the Gophers play, he should put out a bowl of beer and let him watch. That was super cute.
Yeah, nice.
So it's interesting that Ray, even though Ray kind of caused his own misfortune, that he is being avenged somehow. But I really hope that they're not going after Emmett and that their end goal is to go after Varga, because they're going after the wrong person if they're going after Emmett, which it looks like they are doing. They're trying to freak Emmett out.
Let's back up a second though. How do we know that Gloria is alive or anything like that? Well, I mean, because like Gloria,
people she talks to, like
you're saying that Gloria sees Paul, so that means he's a real person. But Gloria also has this weird technology thing. But I mean, I guess that's not enough to say she's not a real person either.
Well, if she had some type of close call before she went to LA, you could look at the LA as some sort of purgatory thing for her. Like, I could totally see that. But there was no, like, accident or, like, she got shot in the leg with an arrow like Nikki did. Like, you could see Nikki.
Holy shit. No, that makes a lot of sense. I think that might be what's actually going on in that episode. Like, LA.
But nothing happened to her.
Well, remember what Paul said? He's like, that's what you see? You see a bowling alley? Well, what if she sees Los Angeles? Or what if that's her experience as a trip to Los Angeles?
But she talked to that old actress and that old screenwriter guy. The guys that
But
caught him.
maybe he helped her see something she needed to see to rise against evil, such as, and that's another thing is I can't wait to see, and God, I hope they do find a way to tie this together, but I can't wait to see how they tie in the stuff with,
Thaddeus Mobley.
yeah, like all that stuff, because we haven't had any of that since. And I feel like there's at least got to be a little taste of like how that ties into the overarching,
I feel like
what's going on
there's
here.
gonna be something because when Paul showed up, I immediately thought of LA, and that brought back to mind the robot, and that's why I connected the Wandering Jew and Minsky.
Right.
So I feel like and they haven't showed the little device in the back of her police car since that episode, and I feel like it has to come back at some point.
Yeah, the box
on
that
off switch
turns itself off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's
It's a lot.
it's a lot. I don't know what to say other than I'm excited to see where it's going. And I think all of your theories are making sense as well.
It's not so much theories as research.
Research, yes. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about what's going on with Emmett and all, like he feels like he's cursed or haunted or something. What are some of the instances of what things are happening to him again? I can't really remember.
Well, Ray's busted Corvette shows up in his parking spot when he's somewhere. And then he goes back to his office and every picture has been replaced with an image of the stamp. And then when he's passed out drunk in his house, someone came and glued a mustache on his face.
Yeah. Okay.
When that first happened, can I honestly tell you what my initial thought was that happened? I thought that we were really going into the supernatural realm and that he was like changing into Ray, like in the Santa Claus when he turns into Santa. Like
he keeps getting fatter and
he'll shave and then 5 minutes later he's got a beard again. Like that's what I thought was happening. So it took me a while to be like, oh yeah, someone snuck in and glued it on his face.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So some weird stuff going on. But here's the thing. Do we know for sure, like, who's doing this?
No. I'm operating under the assumption that Nikki is delivering her justice now, and that's why we jumped ahead. And that I hope Wrench is still helping her.
I mean, that's the most plausible theory here, right? Is that it's Nikki and Mr. Wrench, bringing justice to who they think. And once again, this is perception, the theme of the season coming into play, because they assume that Emmett is the evil that they should be, bringing to justice. But in reality, it's Varga. Like, they're just bringing justice to who they think deserves it. They don't know that, like, Emmett accidentally killed his brother. It was a complete accident. Yeah. Ray, and you could argue Ray brought the murder on himself. So it's perception. Their perception of who deserves this justice is wrong, basically. Yeah. The most plausible theory is that it's them, but couldn't it also be someone like Varga himself that's doing this
stuff? I've heard that theory as well, that Varga's got some trick up his sleeve and he's trying to drive Emmett round the bend.
Right.
But Emmett, by the end of the episode, has finally realized that Varga's playing him and decided to own up to what he's done, which again goes back to the idea that I think Emmett, besides the one episode where he accidentally murdered his brother and the following episode, which makes him look a lot worse, other than that, he wasn't that terrible of a person. He had like one bad episode.
Emmett did.
Yeah, I mean, he was too eager to fall under Varga's spell. I mean, you can count that as a strike against him, but you can chalk that up to him being naive and stupid, not a terrible person.
Right. I don't think you can really argue that Emmett is a inherently bad person.
No, he went along with the cover-up of his brother's death.
That's about the worst thing he's done, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And he couldn't deal with it. Like, his alibi was terrible, and the guilt it's the telltale heart beating in the floor, and this haunting is just making it all worse.
Yep, and it's finally driven him to come forward with some information. But yeah, we don't know exactly what he's going to say yet. Is that right? I mean, the episode ends with him saying what exactly?
I would like to make a confession or turn myself in or something. Not turn myself in. I would like to confess. I think that's what he says.
Right. Yeah. So we still don't know like what he's going to say, if he's going to throw Varga under the bus, you know.
I would hope so. But should we talk about what spurred this on?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Was losing Sai is what finally spurred it
Oh,
on.
right. Yeah, we totally kind of glossed over that aspect.
Our favorite person. Like, I don't want to talk about it, but I guess we have to.
Yeah. Wasn't this the first week? Well, maybe not the first week, but we kind of like we've been predicting who is going to get whacked, and we usually pick Sai. And then this week, or I do at least, and then this week we jumped off of Sai again. And of course, this week he comes really close to getting whacked. He gets basically poisoned. What is it? Coffee that he's drinking or something?
Tea. Like,
it's tea.
That's the one problem I have with this episode. Sai knows what Varga is. Why did he drink the tea?
Well, why did he drink the pee?
Okay, there's theories, and I know you don't agree with me, but you can go on and research that that's not pee, but I'm not going to get into it again. But yes, he did drink it, and they zoomed in on the mustache again to make you think right back to that scene. And this time, I guess he knows maybe he's beaten. Like, why did he drink it? I mean, if he didn't drink it, maybe they were probably just going to shoot him anyway. Like, I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, look what happened when he drank the pee, man. It's like he didn't want to drink the pee, but he didn't have a choice. Like they basically like that's what this scene makes you think back to. You're like, oh, even if it was poison, he didn't have a choice. So he just had to drink it and take whatever comes. And he was supposed to die, right? I mean,
I think that happens? He goes into a coma.
Like, how does he not die?
He's strong. He's Jewish and strong.
Strong Jewish man.
I don't know. Like, he's Sai. He's not going to be beaten by this guy. My hope, do you think we'll see him speak again and sit up and help save the day?
I mean, I can't see why they would keep him alive if he wasn't going to at least have some little part to play in the final 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I hope you're right.
You got to move that cat.
Yeah, can you excuse me for 1 second?
Yeah. I wish I had something to talk about.
Just talk about Sai and what you think his future role could be. Oh, wait, never mind. I think we're okay. Sorry. Sorry about that. False alarm. But anyway.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's fine. I believe Sai will come back. Do you think we'll see Nikki and Mr. Wrench again?
I just can't remember what was the last scene we had of them. Like, where did
they took off in the Volkswagen? That's the last we saw of them. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and that was like the halfway point of the episode, right? So I feel like
the first half was all that intense, mystical action scene shit, and then the second half was just catching up with Sai and Emmett and
Varga.
And Varga,
who continues to have epic feasts.
That guy is just the worst.
Such a waste.
He's just gross. I want no part of him. But it's going to come to a showdown. And now, if Emmett confesses, you know Varga's name's going to come up. I mean, he may not mean it to, but it's going to come up. And Gloria probably already knows Varga's involved, and he has his hands in this. But she's impotent as far as she has no power. She has nothing she can do. But it's cool that her and Winnie are using their lunch breaks to still try to figure out what happened and harass Emmett.
Yeah, I love the scene when they're pestering him, like like they're just there annoying the shit out of him constantly. That was funny.
Yeah. Not gonna let it go.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I don't, as with any episode of Fargo, especially when you get into the supernatural shit, and you could talk about the UFO all day long and not know what it meant, but like this is different. Like you can drill down and find some what do they call it?
Nuggets.
They're alluding to things that are real, like this wandering Jew, the history of that character, or Jewish mysticism with the soul attaching itself to another body, or even the Cossacks Wolves 100 thing. Did you know about the Wolves 100?
No.
Well, they are apparently a Cossack militia group that has, a few years ago, legitimized by Putin. I've never been able to say that word right because Putin just sounds funny.
Oh, it's Putin.
But and sent them into the Ukraine to do some not so good stuff, and their insignia is a snarling wolf's head, just like in the symbol. You know, that one episode that ended with the wolf's head?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And they were also responsible for a massacre of Jewish people about 100 years ago. So there's a lot there. Like, there's a lot to look into if you have the interest and the time. Whereas UFOs, you can, I don't know what you're going to find out looking up UFOs, but.
I mean, I'd love to hear that there was more going on there that as viewers we're just too stupid to understand.
It's not too stupid. It's you just
with the UFO stuff, I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
That would be cool if there's something more to it than that. But I don't know. You made a good point about what you thought it meant. I think the last time we podcasted, that basically
but that's what you have to do with those sort of things. You have to just draw your own conclusion. Whereas with this stuff, you can go as far as you want and come up with a crazy conclusion that could completely make sense if you have the research to explain it.
Right.
Which, I don't know. Fargo shouldn't be a research paper, but it could be.
Yeah, easily could be. Yeah, so did we miss anything as far as goings on in the episode?
I think we actually covered it all.
Yeah, I think we did too. I mean, it's not like we're gonna recap like hit for hit what happened in the action. I mean, to me, like the action at the beginning of the episode made it super good. But there's no need to
rehash shot for shot
what went down. I mean, we talked a lot about what happened in the bowling alley.
I like that they said some of his friends, the Paul guy, wanted Mr. Wrench to stay behind, but he believes he's on a better path now, which I hope means he's still helping Nikki deliver justice.
Right. One little funny thing. Didn't earbuds like summon Ray with dancing?
Is that what happened?
Well, I wrote that in my notes, and I'm trying to remember like what I meant by that, but apparently
he was dancing to his music, and somehow that's when someone got in, or around that time somebody got in to put the mustache on him, right?
Right. So yeah, we kind of joked that he summoned Ray with his dancing, basically.
That's funny.
Yeah. And also, I was reading here, Vargas says to Emmett, "You won." What was going on there?
He's telling Emmett that there's no need for him to be freaking out. He's the victor in all of this. He got away with murder. He's rich now, but he removed, like, Ray got rid of his wife, I guess. So that wasn't Varga, but he lost his wife and his kids. He lost his brother. He lost his best friend. And so I think losing Cy was like the last straw. Like, you can't remove every appendage from a man and expect him to be grateful.
Right, and there's only one person left, and that's Varga, and he doesn't.
Who wants that as a friend or anything?
Yeah. No, can't be satisfied with that, I don't think.
Yeah. And there's something about signing something about a shopping mall, but Emmett, that's like the last straw. Emmett won't sign it. I don't know if that'll come into play or not, but
yeah, that might be significant, but I can't really remember.
There's too much else to focus on.
I also have a very vague note, as usual, about Varga's story, and this is towards the end of the episode. Just before Emmett, he gave Emmett some pills to take, and we're led to believe that Emmett takes the pills.
No, he doesn't take the pills. Oh, yeah, right.
He keeps them.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. What I wrote that Varga tells him a story or something. Do you remember what that was?
No, can I be honest? When he starts to tell stories, I tend to tune out. Like, he's told so many of them.
Yeah. In this case, apparently I did too, because all I wrote was like Varga's story with 3 question marks. But now I'm really curious, like what it is, because I do like to analyze the significance of the
Yeah.
stories because they always seem to tie in so well. But in this case, I have no idea what the story was, so I can't.
I have no memory of it.
Yeah, if I did my
I'm-
research, maybe I could, but I didn't. Not this
My
week.
mind is too full of the awesomeness of the rest of the episode. There's no room for a Varga story in there.
All right. Anything else you want to add on this episode?
No, I think I've thought about it a lot over the last few days, and I'm glad we finally got to talk about it. I'm excited
Right.
to
Yeah.
see. Ooh, the next 2 episodes are going to be crazy. So,
so who you got? Who's gonna get whacked?
Probably Mimo/earbuds.
Yeah, that's a good guess. I'm gonna go with. I guess I'll stick with Goldfarb.
Yeah, they showed her in the preview for next week, and can I just say I love how she's always in the same place. Like, it's like they're going to her lair where she sits underneath this giant, what is it, like deer head or bull head or something, and it's just like she has a lair.
Isn't she just in a restaurant?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like,
But that's where they always go to meet her at the same restaurant, right?
at the same table, and it's almost like it's like a evil character you visit in a storybook who has, or not necessarily evil, but like a person who just always sits in the same place.
Like, yeah, someone with like a king and a throne or a queen and a throne or something.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I can dig it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm debating though. I'm maybe gonna switch it to what's the other cop's name? Lydia or
Winnie?
Winnie. Why do I want to call her Lydia?
I'm not sure.
Winnie? Yeah, I'm thinking about going Winnie. I don't know.
Well, Winnie or Goldfarb. I'm sticking with Mimo.
I gotta pick one. Let me switch it to Winnie.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, I'm worried for her. I'm not gonna lie.
She's one of those characters that needs to get shot, you know?
It's time for shit to hit the fan too, so.
All right, any more thoughts to end the episode?
No, I'm just pumped. That's
all right. Cool. All right, you guys, thanks for listening. You can follow us on Twitter at TV is our real mom, and be sure to like, comment, favorite, subscribe. And we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
Bye.